Welcome to Inner Mileage. My name is Dr. Narcissistic Transformational Coach, here to provide you a primer on how a person or an individual becomes a narcissist or someone with narcissistic personality disorder. So narcissistic personality disorder essentially is a person who has crafted over time a false image designed to deceive, manipulate, and dominate other people for whatever gain. And the narcissist is a narcissist who desires to dominate because deep down the narcissist feels insignificant, unseen, and even unworthy. Now, pulling from academic journals on narcissism and narcissistic personality disorder, the narcissist typically becomes a narcissist because they were raised in an environment that included elements of narcissism, toxicity, or generational trauma. Now, what does that mean? We all learn and model behavior based on the traumas that are around us from our earliest caregivers. And the narcissist becomes a narcissist because they grew up either in a narcissistic family with a narcissistic mother, father, or caregiver, or both caregivers if that was present for them. And typically, the narcissist becomes a narcissist because they're exposed to narcissistic abuse from their earlier caregiver, which becomes sort of a generational cycle that repeats. But here I want to talk about some of the conditions that may contribute to a person becoming a narcissistic person. So first off, if a person grew up in a narcissistic family, then it's very likely that they fit one of the archetypes in the narcissistic family, whether they were the golden child or the lost one or the forgotten one. Now, typically the golden child is the one that the narcissistic parent targets for preferential treatment because that child gives them what psychologists call narcissistic supply. A narcissistic supply is simply the energetic fulfillment that the narcissist gets from their ego being stroked because they've manipulated and triggered someone to react, or they've manipulated someone into a scenario where the person constantly feeds them with affirmation, attention, and anything that enhances their narcissistic needs, therefore giving them narcissistic supply. And the narcissist, like a predator, would latch on and attach on to children, lovers, and others for this level of narcissistic supply. Now, this is ordinarily okay, except that the tactics used by the narcissist are used to keep their target off balance, using tactics such as love bombing, manipulation, flattery, and then of course they go into devaluation. And when the person has been devalued by a narcissist, they're so surprised, they hunker and want the earlier feeling from being love bombed, therein creating the scenario for a trauma bond. And the trauma bond is the reason why most people cannot even identify that they are in narcissistic families or narcissistic relationships or any kind of narcissistic ship where there is a engagement between a non-narcissist and a narcissist. This is very typical. Now, the narcissist will resort to all kinds of underhanded tactics to keep their target imbalanced. Some of these tactics include lying, cheating, blaming you for things that they do, gaslighting, and all kinds of underhanded tactics to create a toxic dynamic in a relationship, to instigate arguments, fear, over-explaining yourself, people-pleasing, and so forth. All designed to keep you attached to the narcissist and the narcissist's convenience. It's almost like a tick that's attached to your body that you can't shake off. And so these are some of the cycles that the narcissist observes in their lived experience, and they begin to embody and implement in their lived lives. Now, the narcissist is someone that's completely damaged, and therefore their worldview of their experience and the world around them is a world that's corrupted, hence a world that needs to be manipulated if one needs to get ahead or get what one wants. And the narcissist typically would target an empath or a good-hearted person because they lack the compassion that the empath has, and are in many ways enamored with that compassion and enamored with destroying that compassion. So the empath is no longer an empath and becomes either a victim of the narcissist or one who begins to embody narcissistic personality disorder or the traits of narcissism, which include toxic relationships, manipulation, gaslighting, lying, deceiving, cheating, destroying, stealing, tricking. I mean, it's a really very insidious experience to encounter a true narcissist. And of course, the term is bandied around quite a bit. And so you have scenarios where people may just be exhibiting normal narcissistic behavior. But what we're focused on is people who have the narcissistic personality disorder as defined by leading psychologists, several of them, but I'll quote perhaps Dr. Ramani as one, and then legal expert Rebecca Zung as another, who are experts in talking about narcissism from a relational perspective and narcissism from a conflict resolution perspective. And you realize that the narcissist is so deeply damaged and embodied by this dark energy that there's no way, absolutely no way whatsoever, to engage with a narcissist in a reasonable fashion. The narcissist can't pretend to be reasonable if it serves their purposes. But ultimately, the narcissist is one who's been deeply damaged by the trauma that they encountered, that rather than remaining a scared victim, which is what the narcissist really is, they become the predators. In other words, if you think about bullying as a parallel or adjacent example, bullies are typically people who became bullies because they themselves were bullied. And they become bullies because they're afraid, therefore they target other people to scare them from seeing the fact that I am actually scared as the bully. It's the same thing with a narcissist. A narcissist is an absolute nobody. This is a person who is devoid of any soulful embodiment. They're so damaged by their trauma and they've become addicted to the dark energy that comes from being so damaged that all they seek to do is also damage. And unfortunately, if you've ever had an encounter with a narcissist, most people don't survive encounters with a narcissist, whether it's a marriage or a parental relationship or a business relationship. In fact, most people leave narcissistic arrangements badly damaged and destroyed. Therefore, it takes a very unique person who, one, is able to identify the traits of narcissistic personality disorder, because it's a trait that is embodied by very intelligent people. The narcissistic people are incredibly intelligent. In fact, as intelligent as empathic people, very high IQs or very keen sense of observation. Therefore, it's very difficult to identify narcissistic abuse when it's happening to you, being a target of a narcissist. But if you're fortunate to have the insight, the awareness, the intuition, the education to understand these traits, then count yourself very lucky for being able to see it, release yourself from it and escape it. Because being under narcissistic abuse is tantamount to being under a spell, a dark spell. A spell that spins you off your axis into another axis that seeks to destroy you permanently, from being the empath that you are into becoming a destroyed, damaged soul. And you realize I'm using these words because when you read all the academic journals, there generally is not a treatment or solution for narcissists or people with narcissistic personality disorder. In fact, they're so grandiose in their feelings, they can trick all therapists and coaches. So a real narcissist does not seek therapy. They don't want help. And so the best bet when you identify a narcissist is to run to run for your life, to leave, and do it very intelligently, or you will be destroyed by this very dark, insidious energy. So hopefully this is a bit of a primer into what narcissism and narcissistic abuse is. Certainly you can read all the academic journals that are out there, just so you have a firmer grasp. And it's better to read academic journals first before reading general internet-based articles, so you're rooted in the theory of what narcissistic personality disorder is, how you can safeguard yourself from it if you're still in a narcissistic relationship of any kind, or how you prevent yourself from getting into a narcissistic relationship if you're fortunate to have escaped such a relationship. Need more help? All my details are in the comments section or in the description section. Do keep in touch, and remember, there's absolutely no one like you. Peace.